Hello, everyone. You are welcome to this live. Now, if you can hear me, I want to type in the comment section that you can hear me. Just give me a one in the comment section if you can hear me. So this is my first live this year. I know that it's been a while. I've not held regular live the way I used to hold it. We are back. So if you can hear me, give me a one in the comment section so I know you can hear me. Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah, second, I see you, Somto, Uchenna, Audemac, and I see more persons are coming online. You guys are welcome. We're going to have a wonderful show. I've got Dominic here. You get to ask a lot of questions about Alvara. Now, the next tradition is this. I want to know where you are and watching this live from. Just type the city and the country. So, for example, I'm in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. So it's Port Harcourt, Nigeria. So just type the city and the country you are on this live from. Yes, I can hear, I can see you. Oh, awesome, awesome. Benue State, Nigeria, Atlanta, United States, Enugu, Nigeria, Ghana, Accra. We have Ben Boss TV from Ekiti, Nigeria, Enugu, Nigeria, Kaduna State, that's Yusuf, Port Harcourt, Jenny, Mohammed, Ali from Lagos, UK, Aloy from UK, people from Edo, Cross River, Lagos, and we have Maiduguri, South Africa. You guys are welcome. Now, with me on this live is Dominic. Don Ryder, you're welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me, and first of the year as well. There we go. I'm extra special.
Yeah. You're welcome. So I've been talking about Alvara, right? And people actually love the video. They like the way I, broke it down. And I've held multiple spaces about Alvara, and people they've been asking me some questions I could not answer. So we are going to get those questions answered here. And we want to know. We'll ask this at the end of the demo. We'll ask. You'll tell us if Alvara can get to 100x. But first, we're going to start with the demo. So if you're ready with the demo, let's just start it. But first, I wanted to introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic Ryder, co-founder of Alvara. We have created and designed a new token standard, which is separate to Alvara, because to be a token standard, it has to be open source. You can't have mass adoption if you keep it behind like a patent, or you keep it trademarked, or keep it gate kept. It has to be open for the public. And so the ERC 7621 is the token standard. At Alvara, we designed it and we submitted it to Ethereum. Not a lot of people know, but ERC stands for Ethereum Request for Comment. And so the 20th one was the ERC 20, the 721st, 721, and now we have the 7621. So I don't know if they're still doing it in numbers of like one increase, because I know that we were the first in the 7.6 series. So I think they've changed the way they do it a bit. But essentially, we are building the infrastructure to facilitate the mass adoption of this new token standard we designed, and we're doing so, in a completely decentralized manner. So my background as an individual, I was started out as a junior stockbroker and did well, and was trading derivatives for the company and ran the trading desk there before I moved on and joined St. James's Place Wealth Management, which is a FTSE 100 wealth manager here in the UK. So one of the top 100 companies. I was associate partner there, and After that, I moved into traditional venture capital, so mostly renewable energy and asset-backed investments. But we also did have a few funds and fund managers within our company, and so I always noticed I don't know, anyone who's worked in finance can tell you, especially in London, that there's two types of people who work in finance. You have either the people who watch, like, especially stockbroking, who watch like Jordan Belfort in like Wolf of Wall Street, or watch Boiler Room, or like Gordon Gekko, and they get this like idea in their head, and they're very sales orientated, very like money hungry, and they go into it for that reason. Or the other side of it is nepotism. So runs in the family, blood is thicker than water, go to the posh private schools, get in with the right crowd. And so there tends to be these two sides of it. And there's very little in between. And so a problem I had is because I was like straight down the middle. Like I never went to private school, and I never went to university even, because I found my stockbroking job literally on the gap year before I was supposed to go into education. And so it meant I didn't have a degree, but I did have 10 years of experience, in the financial industry, which even that, if I was applying to JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or like or Morgan Stanley, wouldn't even get in the door for an interview, even though they would hire people with no experience who just had a piece of paper that said they drank beer for 3 years at a university, would get picked over to someone with 10 years experience in the industry, which was always what disappointed me about the finance world is like, it's supposed to be a meritocracy. A meritocracy is that the talent rises to the top, and that it doesn't matter what your background is, it doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. If you have the talent, you can get to the top of society. That's supposed to be like the ideals of like a free market capitalist economy, that if you are good at something, that should be enough regardless of background to get to the top. So in reality, it's very different. But Alvara has the ability to completely do away with that traditional financial ceiling that people get from anything from country to class to educational background, because what we're producing is, the infrastructure to rank everybody on an even playing field. If you perform better than an institution, then people will see that.
Awesome. So it's more like we're taking away the gatekeepers, right? That actually judge people based on papers to actual. You need to prove yourself. So Alvara itself on the platform, your BTS, the performance, it's you. It's how good you are. It's by merit. So people can invest in your BTS or contribute to your BTS just based on your merits. That is actually
Yeah.
awesome, and your track record is quite impressive, even though you've not been to college. But it's really impressive. The experience you're bringing into Alvara. So guys, in the comment section, if you have watched the Alvara video that I made, just give me a 2 in the comment section, because we're going to go straight to the demo right now. So if you've watched the video, give me a 2 in the comment section before we go straight to the demo. And get your questions ready. All these questions you'll be asking me on lives, on Twitter Spaces about Alvara here. You have Dominic here to answer it. So let me see your comments in the comment section. So Dominic, please, let's go straight to, Francis has watched the video. That is awesome. So Francis, Dominic, let's go straight to the demo.
I think I've just shared it. I think you got to put it up on the big screen.
Yeah.
There we are.
It's added right.
Here we go. So essentially, what was called the ERC BTS, which stands for Basket Token Standard, that was our name before it got the official number, which is 7621. But it's kind of stuck because it's a lot easier to say in terms of like BTS versus 7621. Only one syllable, but still. So it does what it says on the tin. It is essentially a wrapper for a basket of tokens, but it allows for other people to contribute to that basket. And when they do so, it gives them a representative liquidity token, which represents their part of those grouping of tokens within that BTS. So like how if you contribute to a Uniswap, UniV2, you get given LP tokens. It's similar in the way that when you contribute to a BTS, you get a representative ERC20 LP token as well. But what we're trying to do is sort of make it as easy as possible for the mass adoption of the BTS/ERC 7621. So it is open source. Like I say, we will pull through the data on any BTS. It doesn't matter if it's hand coded or if you mint it through our factory contract here. As long as it fits the token standard, we will pull it through, just like how OpenSea, you can mint NFTs directly on OpenSea. But if you have them in your wallet, it will pull them through automatically as well, because it doesn't distinguish between where the ERC comes from. If it detects it, then it will pull it through, and ours is the same. So I can put in, what should I put in here? Just a random chart here. Let's see what this is. So I think that is the NASDAQ versus the Shanghai Composite, which you can tell which one's doing better. So we can have this as our, let's go for a Nigerian BTS, Nigerian demo for all of, I saw some people, Burkina Faso as well, and people from all over the shop, but why not stay where we are? So we've solved the scalability problem that a lot of our competitors face. And the reason why is that they, for the right reasons, they try and control decentralization, whereas I would say that we try and manage it, because with decentralization, there's always an argument between like how much is enough and what level do you accept, because at the end of the day, our competitors, they will have stuff like non-transferable LP tokens, which represent the stake of the overall vault or index or whatever the current competitor calls it. But if you can't scale that, or if you decide who can or can't manage it in particular, you're doing the job of the regulator. That is what they decide, who can or can't manage funds in the real world. So in the crypto equivalent, in order to make sure that you're not a target of like the Securities Exchange Commission, you have to make sure that you don't have any similar characteristics. And one way that we do this is that we are the Uniswap Labs versus Uniswap, where we manage the decentralized infrastructure, but we do not and cannot edit it or make changes from a centralized fashion. Just like how Bitcoin has developers, like Bitcoin developers maintain the network, it's not the Bitcoin team. We are the outside. We produce the decentralized infrastructure. We're giving it to the world, and we're just managing it and making sure that we maintain it for everyone. So we can add in, currently this is on Gorally Ethereum. I better check that I'm on the right, there we go. See, I was on BNB. I need to change over and refresh to Gorally. Let me just refresh and add in stuff here. There we go, back where we were. So yeah, it's on Gorally ETH at the moment. So it's hooked up to, I think, Uniswap, but once it is on mainnet, we'll have it hooked up to an aggregator where you can access more than one DEX. Like 1inch and CowSwap will pull through from a lot of places. And so if we make this a metaverse basket and add in some Axie and my old vamp, so 25, 25, 25, and 20, if I've done maths correctly. So at first, we have no minting fee. The reason why is we want to populate the platform and we want to get as many people onboarded as possible. We have what I would say is more of a stipulation than a fee, which is that a minimum of 5% of any BTS has to be in the Alvara token. That is only for the factory minted ones. If you hand code it, you're free to do whatever you like, because like I say, it is open source, it's not gate kept. So the 5% is just the minimum for factory minted. And you can see here that if we click mint, wait for Gorily, see how quick we want to go. Oh, look at that. That was fast. Now let's hope the leaderboard loads just as fast. See if we're in luck. If not, I'll wait for the transaction to go through and I'll show you Gorily scan just whilst. Oh, there we go. So I can jump on here and show you. Now that that's done, you can see that we called the create BTS function from my wallet to the smart contract, which then mints mints the actual BTS to my wallet from the dead wallet, and it swaps everything into the underlying percentages. So 0.05 for ALVA, 0.25 for Sand, Mano, etc. And so this basically gives a fully collateralized and fully backed basket. It's not just a derivative / like, it's not a representation of the tokens. The tokens are actually held within the BTS at all times. And that means that there's never going to be a case where you can have like a run on the bank where, you know, people are trying to withdraw and they can't, because everything is collateralized. There's never a gap between tokens inside a BTS and tokens available. It will always be 1 for 1. And here is our leaderboard. So you can see we have all the monetization and all the revenue features and all of the gamification of a CoinMarketCap, DEX Tools, CoinGecko. We aggregate every single BTS. You can see that we are now here, and the other one has loaded through from when I typed it in as well. And then we can contribute. Here we can see all of the stats. Obviously, this is just for demo purposes because it hasn't had. That's how well you usually perform, isn't it?
Yeah.
21. There you go. But the key part of all of this is that whenever you contribute to anybody's basket, you get in return. Let's get this ready. Wait for it to index. Give it a refresh. There we go. Come on, Gorily. This is where pre-recording sometimes comes in helpful, but hopefully this will clear in a second. There we go. So contributed to the actual BTS. Everything again swaps as per the underlying. So because it was 0.1, 0.05, 0.025. But the key part is this, the NDLP token. And so the NDLP token represents my overall part of that basket. And the reason this is important is that it means that you as a manager of this BTS, if you are earning, let's say 1% of the fees as standard of everything contributed to that basket, if you are earning enough to justify it, you can build staking, you can build governance, you can add liquidity, you can build lending strategies, derivatives, incentivization, bribery pools, anything that can be built on top of a normal ERC20, you can build on top of your BTS, which means that, like how Curve Finance has spurned, Ellipsis, which is a fork of Curve, it has Yearn, StakeDAO, Pickle Finance, Beefy Finance, Convex, which in itself is a top 100 token, which couldn't exist without Curve's infrastructure. We have that exact same scalability, but rather than being limited to like tens or hundreds of liquidity aggregators, anybody who ever mints or codes a BTS if they are successful, has the ability to build a full protocol around and on top of it. And Alvara is this very, very bottom layer of infrastructure, which is facilitating and aggregating that data. So this is good for everybody in terms of managers earning fees from anything, or like, a key opinion leader. People can come in and out and contribute, withdraw to these like almost a fund marketplace, like a Fidelity, but on chain and decentralized. And the institutional side of this, because obviously this part is great in the fact that people can shop around, people can decide if they want to start one of these. And it doesn't matter if you create one and you happen to be really good and you build AUM, and then once you have the funding, you decide, I'm going to build on top of this. Or you could even approach this like with a full business plan, set up a website, tell people why you should be managing this, tell them your background. If you think that you have, the qualifications for it, the more information you provide, the more likely it is that people will contribute. And so it is what anybody chooses to make of it. This can grow. Your basket can be as big as you want it to be. If you can perform and you can attract people, then there's no reason you can't turn this into your own business, your own side hustle, your own anything, because the world is your oyster in terms of the scalability. It's just whether you can produce. And this is where it's a full meritocracy, because it doesn't matter. You can see in here, we've been talking to both market makers, we've been talking to other protocols, chains. It doesn't matter who they are. Everybody pulls through onto the same leaderboard. And it doesn't matter if you're a Pantera, it doesn't matter if you're like a Coinbase Ventures, or if you're just anyone off the street. You're all like for like comparison. And where that's a true meritocracy, we've also added this institutional cheat code, which is that, like Curve, the more Alvara you purchase and the longer you stake it for, the more rewards you can send to your LP token holders. So if you do have a BTS and you have bought and staked a lot of Alvara, then you can send yield to your BTS's contributors. And that will obviously incentivize even more contributions, because they not only get any exposure to performance, they can also get yield just for parking their money there. And so this is a constant accumulation incentive for anybody who is wanting to build funds under management, because
so Alvara is full-fledged platform. Anybody can just come. You don't have to anybody can come to the platform and prove how good you are, and it has a lot of way of it that you can earn. And from here, you can actually see the leaderboard. So your performance is transparent. So there's full transparency with Alvara. That's one thing I like about it. And centralization is basically taken out, because, like you said, I mustn't go through Alvara. Like you said, it's the BTS is the protocol is already approved, so I can build my own from scratch, and it will pull into this particular platform. This is actually awesome. Now, one question people keep asking that I have here is, like, one person is asking, why is the project on Ethereum network, not BSC or Solana or Bitcoin chain?
So this is a fair point, because there's two sides to it, which is always a positive and a negative. So there's two considerations for us. Number one is the network fees of Ethereum. That's the negative. The positive, and the thing that we have to go for, though, is where is the most decentralized liquidity? And Ethereum wins, no competitors whatsoever to that. And obviously, our focus isn't just on, the small scale. We want as many people as possible to come and use the platform. However, where will institutions go?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, with my background in traditional finance, I can tell you, like, once you get to a certain level, even like 0.01% difference in like best execution and slippage is enough to make people change providers. And we want to remove any reason whatsoever that people wouldn't use this. And we have to do that on an institutional level. And it's a very good it's a good problem to have, in that we are getting these objections now from like market makers and from like people like FalconX, Coinbase Custody, or like Fireblocks, who we're trying to work with to give access to centralized exchange liquidity and ways to like tokenize that. Because at the end of the day, the objections we're getting is people are worried that DEX liquidity won't keep pace with the ambitions that we have. Because if we want to bring traditional finance on chain, that's trillion. Like, if you look at BlackRock, their assets under management is 9 times the size of the whole Bitcoin market cap. So how is that? How are they going to use a decentralized protocol that's, so we're building for the future, which is why we have to start with Ethereum. We're going to be moving on to a cheaper solution like almost immediately after we launch, but we have to start where the most liquidity is, because that's where the institutions are going to go. There's no point, because we could launch on a cheap network as much as we wanted, but if there isn't the token selection, then we've got to build like bridges and other ways, and we have to really complicate it. And also, anything where we have to start crossing chains is of course not going to be fully decentralized. Like, you can do it somewhat, but you still have to rely on like oracles, because they just don't speak to each other, different blockchains. So in order to be fully decentralized, but yeah, it's a good point. We will have a cheaper solution for people as soon as we can, but we just got to be liquidity led rather than fees led at first. But yeah, the layer 2, and whether that is like someone like Arbitrum, BNB or Hedera, like any sort of a cheap option that will be following like within 2-3 weeks, like not a very short time after we go live. But yeah, that's the reasoning for that.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. And speaking of the Ethereum network, from the research I was making, we're not going to talk about tokenized assets, that the tokenized asset market will be about 16 trillion by 2030, right? And that is going to also bring a lot of liquidity to to crypto. Now, one question I receive a lot during my lives is the security of the platform. So some people are saying, how is my fund secured if I'm contributing to, say, a BTS manager? Maybe I don't understand the whole architecture of the platform, but how is my fund secured? What if there's an attack like happens to most bridges? This is not a bridge though. Is my fund safe?
Yeah, so as I say, they are fully collateralized, and the good thing about the way that we've done it with the LP tokens that are fully transferable is it's just like if you when you provide liquidity to Uniswap, when you go to withdraw that liquidity, you do so by burning your LP tokens, and then they give you back in return. So we have that exact same mechanic, which means that nobody, not even the manager of the BTS, can get inside to access the funds unless they have the LP tokens that correspond to that amount of Ethereum. And so there's never any way that anyone can get inside of the basket at all unless they have the LP tokens that correspond to it. And the only way that they can get those is by contributing Ethereum in the first place. And the amount of LP tokens they get only represent that amount. So it's like a bank vault. Even though it's held in my wallet as the owner, I can't access the funds within. I use the ERC 7621 and Alvara's front end interface to submit changes within the smart contract, but I don't actually manually, take the tokens and buy and sell them myself. It's all done within the smart contract. So it's like a bank vault, and you can only get in or out if you have the access key, and the access key is the ERC20 LP token. So it's a good mechanism.
Oh, that really makes sense. I think I get it now. So without your LP token, you can only access the fund that corresponds to the LP token that you've got. So it's actually secured if that is the way it works.
So everyone that contributes will get a certain amount of you. So you can see the reason why it says when I have the redeem there, the reason it has 1099 is because I minted it with one Ethereum, which gave 1,000 LP tokens, and then I contributed another 0.1. Obviously, as people contribute, then it scales up in terms of what it gives back. So the reason it's 1099.81 is because I contributed 1.1 Ethereum, and so I can withdraw that. But if somebody else contributes, then they would get another 99 or 100 LP tokens, but they wouldn't be able to withdraw what I have because I hold the LP tokens in my wallet. So everyone has their representative share via the LP tokens, which are always given to the wallet that contributes. So there's never a way that even the owner of the BTS, the owner doesn't own the funds within it. They own the overall BTS as a wrapper. But even if the person who owns the BTS gets their wallet exploited, the hacker can't do anything with the BTS in terms of access. They would earn the fees of the BTS because obviously the new owner would be this, hacker desk, but they can't actually, they can't get into the funds within it. They can obviously submit stuff and start fund managing. But this is where we have certain ways that these can be done, because you can either have governance only where people approve what you can buy or sell, or you could have full discretionary where nobody really gets asked. And so our job as the Uniswap Labs model is that we need to make it obvious to people. Like when you go to buy a token on PancakeSwap and it looks like a honeypot, they will tell you this transaction reverted, this looks like a honeypot, do not buy this. You have the option to click through that and still buy it because it's decentralized. But if you do that, you can't say, oh no, I got honeypotted, when they literally told you are about to buy a honeypot. If you still choose to do that, that is on you, unfortunately. We can't take responsibility. Our responsibility was to let you know that, in our case, our responsibility is to let you know if the manager has full discretionary permissions and they haven't provided any information about themselves. So everybody has the ability to submit KYC, to connect their accounts like Twitter's, socials, and YouTube's. If they don't do any of that and they also haven't KYC'd, our job is to let you know that this manager has not provided any information and they do have discretionary permissions as well. Because even though they can't get into the BTS, they could, for example, if they knew how to code, they could code themselves like a separate ERC20 honeypot and then buy that honeypot with the BTS funds if they had full discretionary permissions. So our job is to let you know where something like that could happen. And we do so via stuff like a trust score, which you can see here, because that's the only way that it can be exploited is by people trusting. This is why decentralization is amazing, because again, even with this, the only way it falls down is humans trusting other humans. Our job is to let you know where you have to have that trust. But if people choose to ignore that, we can't remain decentralized and decide who can or can't manage a BTS, because then we do the job of the regulator, and they're just not going to like that. We have to let everybody manage it. We just need to let users know where there could be someone trying to do anything dodgy. Because that way we're protecting everybody, because even though our competitors think that they are protecting people by deciding who can or can't manage it. That's like the very micro level, because in reality, by protecting the micro, you are exposing everybody, because if the regulator comes and shuts you down and goes after you, everyone's going to get hurt. So we focus on making sure that because it's like with Uniswap, the Securities Exchange Commission, they don't go after Uniswap, they go after the tokens that list on Uniswap. And why is that? It's because Uniswap is completely decentralized in terms of renounced smart contracts. So we have to look after the macro. We have to deploy the decentralized infrastructure and manage it as decentralized infrastructure. So we can't get involved in those sort of things, because otherwise we'll, make ourselves a target when we want everyone to have the opportunity to use this. And we're going to try and make sure that everyone knows how to in a safe manner, but we can't stop, people. We can't stop if people want to do stupid things like ignore a massive risk warning that says something could happen. We can't be upset if they cry foul when it does happen.
I have a follow-up question with regards to this, but let's take this question first. This person asked, can the LP token be restricted for yield just like other LSD? And guys, if you have your questions, just start typing them in the comment section and I'll read them out.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where I say that we are this decentralized layer of infrastructure, is that we are conscious that we want you as a manager and anybody else to build whatever you want. So if you are a successful manager and you know exactly who your holders are because they all have the LP tokens, you can build whatever you like. Our job is that we are the decentralized infrastructure layer, so we can't build all of that for you. So we need builders to come and to Alvara, and we've got like grants programs and stuff like that ready for this, and we're going to be incentivizing builders and people to come and build on top of it, because at the end of the day, it is a fully transferable ERC20 LP token. If you want liquid staking derivatives for it, then anybody can build it. And that's on a per BTS basis. Anyone can add liquidity, anyone can build governance, anyone can build staking or any liquid staking derivatives, any lending strategies. The world is like your oyster in terms of where you can take it, which is where the most bullish part of Alvara is just like how infinite the web goes of where people can take it. Because even now I think of new ways, or other people tell me ways that they want to take this. Because, even with what we've got on the demo there, none of that even starts on like, real world assets, like getting property in there, getting like the BTS used like a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company, in order to basically pool capital. And then if you can tokenize like individual ventures, then you can use it like a private equity investment. So the applications to all of this is just like exponential in how far it can go, but we can't build it all ourselves. We need people to come to the platform, and we want people to innovate and build on top of it. So yes is the answer. What you can do on our side is that we have the same gauge weight governance voting structure as Curve Finance. So the more Alvara you stake and the longer you stake it for, the more voting power you get. With your voting power, you can send yield to your BTS's LP token holders. So just by contributing to a basket, your contributors will earn a yield as well as any increase or decrease in price performance of the assets within it. They'll earn a yield just for sitting there, which gives institutions or whales a constant need and a constant want to accumulate as much Alvara as possible and stake it for as long as possible, because the more they vote to send yield, the more yield their contributors earn, the more fees they earn from having higher assets under management. The more fees they earn, the more Alvara they can buy, the more they can stake, the more they can vote, the more fees. And it's a constant cycle of accumulation. And just like you had the curve wars, which if you Google, like you could see you had Convex and Yearn and all of these other aggregators fighting for as much VE curve as possible. They literally called it the curve wars for that reason. We have that on a scale of thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of individual investment DAOs and sub protocols, all of which who can build their own liquid staking derivatives, incentivize as much people as possible into their BTS, because anyone has the ability to do that. And so who is going to be first and who is going to win the ALVA wars is yet to be seen. But this guy's got a head start on everyone because he's thought of it.
Yes. So the by default, holding an LP token, you get to earn ALVA if the LP token is for a BTS that gets enough votes to get ALVA, right? But besides this, there are a lot of other ways that you can, depending on what the BTS manager hits, depending on it's limited by its imagination, more like he can imagine what he can do with the LP and build a lot of protocol in it, so it can keep on going. It can.
It's all because the utility that we're building out on the protocol and infrastructure side is the governance and the gauge weight voting. In terms of what it can be used for by anybody else, that is completely down to those individuals. Every single one is an ERC20. And so the thing is, it doesn't even need to be the BTS manager who builds it. Let's say that somebody contributes to your basket and you started this out with with 1 Ethereum, and you don't have the capital currently in order to build out like staking and governance. If some massive whale comes in with 100 ETH and just contributes to your basket, believes in you, and has so many LP tokens, because that, they can build you anything they want. In fact, whether you like it or not, because they have so much of your LP tokens that if they want to build a protocol around your basket, either with or without your consent, because this is decentralization at the end of the day. If somebody wants to do that, there is nothing you can do to stop them, because if they believe in you enough to build a whole protocol around like your performance, it's probably going to be a good thing. But it's entirely possible, because you can't stop them, because it's a fully transferable ERC20. If they want to innovate on top of it, like that's up to them.
Oh, okay. So Windmill is asking, in any way to use Celestia to lower fees. I personally know a lot of people that would love this project, but hates gas fee. I think you've answered that question. You said that you talk about liquidity on the Ethereum platform, and after it is launched, of course, other chains are going to be considered and built out immediately. So that question is answered. Now, the question I want to ask is this, because I got this question in one of these pieces I held. So the person asked, so the BTS, as a BTS manager, I can actually go ahead and rebalance and swap the assets in my BTS, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was asking, is there a way to, say, on the platform, use orders, order type, like set a stop loss, set take profits, and also, is there a way for the contributor as well to say, okay, if this BTS perform below this, I want out? Is it built into the platform?
So it's one of these where it's like we got to be selective in prioritizing like builds, because there is so much that can be done. It's just which ones we do.
I'll play together with this one, because this guy asked something similar. I said, how do you ensure the managers trade responsibly and not blow up the basket? We did have, would you have a way to monitor? Yeah, so go ahead.
So the cold hard truth of the matter is that it's not up to us to ensure that the managers trade responsibly. It's up to the holders and contributors. That's the way the decentralization works. If you are a contributor to somebody else's basket, they provide you the information that you need in order to make an informed decision. If they don't provide you that information, then you shouldn't be contributing, and we'll tell you not to. At the end of the day, it is not up to us. We are managing completely decentralized infrastructure. If we get involved and we try and control anything or any aspect, we risk the Securities Exchange Commission coming down on us like a ton of bricks. We are purely managing the decentralized infrastructure. It is up to the contributors and the holders to ensure that they are not contributing to managers that are doing this, and that if their managers are, they address it with them. They build the governance. They tell them to have a governance-based BTS if they want their funds, because at the end of the day, people will know if it's a discretionary BTS and the manager has full control, or whether it's governance-based. And you vote with your wallet, you vote with your ETH at the end of the day. If you want to make sure that people aren't going to have that abuse power, then contribute to only governance-based baskets. Very, very easy and simple way to do it. But this protocol is decentralized completely. And we can't, we are the developers looking after this decentralized infrastructure. And the people who are building on top of it have full autonomy to do what they like. And we have to have it that way to protect the majority. And so it's up to the individual contributors to make sure that you basically regulate yourselves by making sure that, bad actors are punished. People don't reward that behavior, but it has to be, it's going to be slow. It's going to be, slow, painful arbitrage of getting rid and behavior and everything else. But we can't ensure it. We are just going to warn you where there is the possibility. If you still choose to do it yourself, you've got to take responsibility for that, because we're going to tell you that it could happen. And unfortunately, we need to have that level of decentralization, because we've got to look after every user of the platform, not just individual users.
Yeah, so back to my question. As knowing this, is there a way as a contributor, say I want that if this bit here, if this basket goes down by say 40%, take out my, give back my LP and take out my phone. Is there a way that be coded into
so
the
that's
platform?
all going to be, it's all going to be like a process. And like I said, at first it's just prioritizing and where it comes on the roadmap. Like we will want to, and as we're maintaining this and as feedback is given, as any problems or any annoyances, like UX wise or trading or buying wise come up, then we will see and assess everything as it comes. It's definitely something that we want to implement. Our goal is to make it as flexible and as usable and give people no reason to not use the platform. That's our main goal, is just make sure that it is as easy to use and that nobody has a get out of jail free card. No one can say, I don't use the BTS because it doesn't have this. We want it to have everything. So as and when we see what the priority is, what the most users are wanting, feeding back or saying, that will lead those decisions. At present, because we're at an earlier stage, we've got lots of stuff still to build out on the governance side. And then at that point, once we don't have, once the core features the BTS factory and everything and leaderboard, everything's already there, we need to build out the governance side a bit more. And then after that, we'll have much more autonomy to make the user experience better, basically, and add in those sort of features.
In other words, the platform is not all built out. Depending on what is needed, upgrades could be made.
Yeah, exactly. Our role is to do that, as managing the decentralized infrastructure includes maintaining it and improving on it as well.
All right. So let's just this last question, and I'll ask one more question and we'll end the live. What will be the minimum amount of BTS? What will be the minimum amount for the BTS manager, and what could be the minimum amount for contributors to put into the basket?
So this is it's an interesting one, not necessarily for the reasons people think, but it's like Sybil protection. So people who aren't familiar with Sybil, a Sybil attack is where it's the reason why DAOs don't do one vote per wallet and they do token weighted voting. The reason why is that if you allow for one vote per wallet, decisions can be swayed by people setting up tons and tons and tons and tons of wallets in order to vote. And you have a similar thing when it comes to people setting up BTSs, because what we don't want is to make it very, 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 very low cost for anyone to set up a BTS, because that means that lots and lots and lots and lots of scammers could try and exploit it. At the same time, we want it to be accessible for as many people as possible, and we don't want to give restrictions based on people's monetary background. We want it to be as much of a meritocracy and as much as an equal opportunity platform for everybody. However, the lower that we have it, the lower cost we make it for anyone who wants to try and set up multiple of these and mislead people. So that's what we've got to learn. Like at present, we've removed the minimum for testing purposes. There's no reason why contribution wise we shouldn't have any limits, because when you're contributing, you don't have control of managing what's within it. So the contribution wise, we're going to have it like 0.01 Ethereum or respective like token / whether it's BNB or like Solana. It's only the question of creating a basket, because that's where if we have a low cost of doing so, there's less to risk for bad actors or anyone. So there needs to be some level of side bill protection when it comes to being a BTS manager, but contributing wise, we can have it as low as we can. So we're not sure yet what the first one will be. We're probably looking at I don't know. We want to make it as cheap as possible, but at the same time, we just have to be conscious to not allow for people to set them up, too easily, because then bad actors could repeat and try and come back.
So guys, Alva is, if you want to buy Alva, because somebody asked that question, it's going to be launched through the Tencent Launchpad, right? So I've talked about it. If you want to buy into the token Alva, you just need to purchase Tencent like today, because if you don't do it today, it's going to be late. I think today is 23rd. So you have today, tomorrow, and on the 25th to do so. After that, it might be late for you to purchase Alva through Tencent. Then you have to wait until it's listed on exchanges. And to buy from Tencent, you just have to buy 5,000 Tencent, stake it in the Tencent TGLP it's going to be staked for 1 year. After a year, you can withdraw your Tencent, and you'll have the opportunity. You have an allocation, a guaranteed allocation to buy the Alva token on the Tencent Launchpad, and every other project Tencent will be launching through the TGLP for the period of your subscription, which is 1 year. So that is how you purchase Alva, if somebody asked that question. Now, the other question I want to ask is this. I know that crypto, we're getting to the bull season, and for a project to do well, besides the technology being awesome, I've read the white paper of Alvara. I see that I'm pretty excited about the project, right? But I know that beside that, but for a project to do really well, you have to have the right partnership, you have to have the right marketing, you have to have the right hype for the token to go, make people smile, right? So what have you guys put in place to actually achieve that? And could Alvara do 100x at launch? And before you answer that question, let me just mention that Alvara also have an airdrop. If you want to take part in the airdrop, I'll leave a link in the description for you to go there, or you can just go to alvaraprotocol.io, then click on the top menu. You will see airdrop. Click there and perform the tax. It's the Zilli tax. It's actually really simple. So Dominic, over to you.
So, what I can say in terms of, our goals and ambitions in terms of the protocol, it's one of the few opportunities out there where you're not limited at all by the sector or the area that we are looking to conquer, I guess. because at the end of the day, when you're going into like a game or a metaverse, you can still do extremely well. You know, you can still get that sort of, price discovery, but you know that unless you're, somehow earning billions and billions in revenue as the game studio, the token's probably got a price ceiling of the sector, a few billion, maybe like 10 billion in terms of like how these metaverse and games have done. The sector that we're going into is the whole traditional like finance and asset management like industry. That's what we're trying to conquer. And that is, I think BlackRock has, the equivalent of 10 Bitcoin's market caps just under management. That's like the size of just one company's assets in the traditional finance industry. And Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, literally says, and you can Google it, literally says tokenization of assets on the blockchain is the future. And what we are launching is the token standard to allow for these institutions to come onto the blockchain and manage it in a transparent, decentralized fashion. And so if we can even get 1% of the market share, once traditional finance is on chain, like if we get 1% of that market share, there's no reason why this token can't be like the single biggest ERC20 of all time, because that's the size of the market we're going after, is just astronomical in nature, that size of the market. So if we do everything right, we get everything that we want. There's no reason why we can't, take it to those heights. Obviously, not financial advice, and there's a lot that goes between, where we are now to getting to, that pinnacle that we really want to. But that's our aims and ambitions are, and we have institutions launching like on day one with us, like Alpha Transform Holdings, which is Michael Turpin and Enzo Villani's fund. Michael Turpin did the PR for the original Ethereum ICO, and his funds are going to be on Alvara from day one. We got another company called Spirit Blockchain Capital, which is a publicly listed company on the Canadian Stock Exchange, who are also going to be from launch. So we are, as the foundation, managing the decentralized infrastructure, like maintaining the ability for like your normal consumer to buy, sell, enter and exit from these is important. But we're also going to be and focusing a lot on, talking to regulators, talking to institutions, getting adoption of the ERC 7621 as the go-to standard. Because if the traditional funds come on chain like everyone expects, and everybody uses a 7621, like people don't even think about the fact that an NFT is a 721 now. They just think it's just the NFT. And the NFT is a 721, the 721 is the NFT. And so when like Pepsi or these others launch their NFT collections, they use a 721. Not actively because like they like it, want it, or need it. They use a 721 because everybody else does. And if everybody else uses the ERC 7621 for on-chain, management, what will the institutions use when they come on and start managing funds on chain? You'd expect it to be the same. And so that's the level of opportunity. Like here, like our end goal is like literally unlimited, but obviously we have to make all the right moves to get there. But the opportunity is certainly, very, very, very big.
Yeah. Thank you, Dom, for coming on and answering our question. I really appreciate this. Any last words to end this live stream?
Jump in and make sure that you are, coming on into the socials, asking questions. Said, to be taken serious, he can get dressed accordingly. That Calvin Klein, like he came in pajamas. He's got a hoodie on. I'm sorry, I'm putting it this way. What's wrong with him? We're working in crypto here. I'm not. If I wanted to still wear a suit, I'd still be down at my wealth manager. Bloody hell! God, tell you what. If I came dressed up in a suit, I'd be laughed at just as much.
Yeah.
I'll wear a tie next time. Jeez. Or if I came wearing like, if I came in like dressed in like a Versace bathrobe, then people would, oh, look who he's got. Or if I came in like wearing like a Rolex or something, people would say, who's this guy? He's trying to take our money, bloody scammer. God, you can't get away with anything these days.
All right. All right, please, guys. I will leave all our social media link in the description of this video. So do well to get to the community and ask your questions and learn a lot more. Thank you, Dom.
Thanks so much. See you later.